Hello, everybody. Let's see who's joining.
Hey everyone.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And thank you for joining the very first episode of The Sync Room, a series by Exalate. This is a series of webinars, short ones, where we hosted with Majid and myself, and we try to keep it like short, to the point, practical, no fluff, and all unfiltered. And we try to invite as many guests as we can along the way, and we try to keep it coming in the future every few weeks, hopefully. So some housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A tab. And if you want to chit chat with the rest of the attendees, feel free to use the chat box. I will also share some blog posts, some guides and everything else in the chat. So keep an eye out for that one. Let's jump right into it. So we did a field report of 2024 and 2025 a while back, and we interviewed around 170 something customers. The interesting thing is that 82% of our customers, when we asked them what is the main integration driver, they said they wanted to kill the copy paste hell in the whole ticket escalation path. So Majid, you're the head of support and you work very closely with our engineering team as well. I want to ask you one straightforward question. What is the cost of support development escalation when these two departments are not really talking to each other? Or let me put it this way, what are the pain points that our customers usually come to us with and we try to take them away?
Yeah, so I'm not surprised that 82% was it that what you said is of customers called it hell. So it is hell. Just imagine like an employee, a person, a technical person doing a copy paste job just because there's no integration in place to do this all in an automated way. Uh, let's imagine what the status quo is for most of the clients that come in and then talk to us, right? So they already have support and a development team working, probably in two different systems because both systems are specialized. A help desk is specialized for the support for function, and then Jira, Azure DevOps, and this sort of tooling is for the developers. Now, the two main scenarios that we see, one is people try to do this via emails, and imagine a scenario where a help desk is receiving customer complaints, and some of those complaints need to be escalated to engineering. So a team lead from the support desk kind of creates an email thread with an outline of a summary to a development lead. The ticket gets created on their side, and then work starts to happen. So that's one scenario. Another scenario we come across is where each party allows access to the other systems, right? So support might have some level of access to the developer systems and vice versa, right? Now, in that scenario, the support agents log into the tool of choice for the developers, create an issue there, and then kind of follow it manually all the way through. But again, it's still a hell of a lot of copy and paste and wasted hours, right? You're logging into another system, you're copying stuff over, and then how do you manage uh, the to and fro? It's like a really painful sort of a thing. So specifically, if you ask about the cost, it's the direct cost that you see, obviously. It's the time, it's the resources, it's the wasted effort, it's expensive resources doing stupid work, right? Like copy pasting, getting updates back and stuff like that. And then this whole thing eventually trickles down to a poor customer experience, right? So think about it from a customer perspective, and you will have higher resolution times. You will have a slower time to resolution, obviously. You will get increased backlog on the support desk. So all this leads to basically a poor customer experience, eventually to churn. So a lot of direct and indirect costs, I think.
Yeah, I think that you personally also have another motivation somehow, because we hear you here and there that you really want to set up all this integration between like different departments internally as well for us. So
Yes, but
yeah,
the motivation there is different rather, right? So
yeah,
so okay, so so the internal use case which I'm trying to answer is basically so there are two things that I see within the organization happening which need to be bridged, right? So support engineers are experienced people, but they just don't have visibility into how the developers are actually solving issues. It's also being solved somehow, right? So that knowledge gets siloed within the development team itself and never trickles down.
exactly.
Whereas we established an integration whereby whatever work the developer is doing is kind of being added as internal notes on our help desk, which so the support agent is following through it, may be able to contribute to it, but definitely increases the knowledge base. So that's one aspect of it. And the other is that our product engineers really badly wanted to get feedback from the field, right? So how is their product being perceived, used by the customers? What is the feedback on a new feature that they've added and stuff
Exactly.
like that? And what better way to do it and then to make the customer tickets visible, right? So they can have read through the customer experience as and then as it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the motivation there indeed.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, yeah, this hell of ping pong that we are describing here, I understand that there are like a few choke points in this path, in this escalation path. If you want to focus like on a few of these choke points, what do you think they are? For example, if a P1 comes in, then what happens in the first 10 minutes? Or where does the handoff actually like slow? Is it the access? Is it I don't know, the routing rules, the mapping? What is it exactly?
Yeah, it's a good question, but it has a very nuanced sort of an answer depending on what sort of setup people have in that given scenario. So I kind of referred to two situations, one where people are escalating via emails and stuff, and the other where each party has access to the other's system, some level of access at least. So if we focus on the second one, because it's still a more efficient one, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So imagine that both parties have access to each other's system. Now a P1 comes into the support desk, the support agent triages it, starts the initial investigation, checks the obvious things that whether everything is all right, it's a genuine P1. And then he goes and collects logs, writes the reproduction steps because engineering are not going to accept it without it. So he prepares like a whole plethora of information, which he now needs to file into the engineering help desk, logs in to the engineering help desk, goes in, creates the P1, and then the things get started. Now, what have you lost in this time? So far, I think probably 30 minutes have been lost if he's just working on this, right? But I don't think it's lost time. It's like he's collected a lot of valuable information which the other party needs, and he's gone in and created the ticket. So the story so far is not that bad, actually.
Mm.
Now, the problem is how do you keep things updated, right? So P1s usually demand very strict customer SLAs. You need to get back to your customer every hour, every 2 hours, whatever the situation is. So what is the support agent doing at that point? He's going into the dev help desk. He's seeing what the developers are doing, translating it into his language, putting it back on his ticket, and then this to and fro keeps happening, right? And
Yeah.
then there are nightmare scenarios which clients tell us about. So imagine you have a log set of 5 files, let's say, right, which we intended to take over to the other side. Now imagine 4 of them got attached, but one didn't for some reason, whatever. It's a manual mistake or whatever the system is. Now, what that would lead to is the developer wasting a lot of time just trying to understand what's going on because he'd be missing half of the log file, let's say, right in the middle. And then he would be scratching his head as to like what's happened here. Is the logging down? Is the network down? And then it's just a lot of wasted resources really in that. So choke points are different in each and every scenario, but this constant ping pong and this lack of like real time syncing is causing the biggest problem.
Okay. I think you have something to also show us between like two different systems. So yeah, our development can be on Jira or Azure DevOps or what, and our service desk or support can be on Freshservice, ServiceNow, Zendesk, or whatever else. But I think it's good to have a look at like a practical example.
Indeed. Yeah, so just exactly what I talked about. I'll very quickly kind of show it to you. So I've got a help desk which is working on Freshservice. And I've got a developer team which is working in Jira. Two completely different systems. Nobody has access to the other side, and it's just two disconnected systems. Now, once you build the integration between the two, how it happens is, and how it should happen is that when a P1 gets reported on the help desk, so I'm just going to create a dummy ticket, bear with me. So let's say this is an outage. And let's say we create it with the highest urgency, with the highest impact, and with the highest priority, which is urgent on my side. And we put some description of the issue. Uh, I'm just gonna, in the interest of time, do this. I'm gonna select a category as software, okay. And let's say the ticket is created on my help desk. So this, imagine, is a customer creating a P1 on your help desk. Now, what should happen is that the integration should realize that this is a P1 issue already based on all the fields, the priority is urgent, and it should pick this up and take it towards the development team in an automated sort of a manner, right? Now, what happens is that once it gets created, let's switch over to Jira actually. So it should be created on this project. This is what I've got configured. Right. And as you see, the ticket has already arrived. This is an outage, and then the development team already has it in real time and can start working on it straight away. Now, also look at the context that I brought over, right? So the entire description of the issue came over. If there were attachments, they would have come over. You get the category information, you get the source, it was created via phone, apparently, okay. You get the impact urgency, and there's a little bit of mapping going on here as well. So
Mhm.
remember, we selected urgent because there was no option to select highest within Freshservice. So we've got it mapped to the Jira priority highest. So all that context, Manoush, has been transferred over in real time, just in one go without any manual steps. And really, that's where you save the most effort, most angst, and most
Right.
pain, right? And how would the Freshservice person know that what's happening?
Mhm.
The integration should have automatically pinged the Jira number back into the into the Freshservice ticket, so that the agent itself kind of gets a view of whether the ticket is created successfully or not. It should be within this field, but my system's being a bit slow. But yeah, that's the like real-time auto escalation sort of flow that would create it. So you get the ticket number pinged into a custom field, and that's like a visual confirmation for the agent that, okay, this is already on the developer's help desk, and they're starting to work on it.
So this is the optimal outcome of like setting up this talking point between the two departments, you would say.
Indeed, because the biggest pain is to get things moving in the correct time frame, right? So immediately when so each business would have their business rules set up differently, right? So the way
Right.
I set this up is that as soon as any urgent request comes in, regardless, I'm not checking anything else, it's automatically going over
Mhm.
to the development desk, and then it becomes a prioritization exercise on their end, and then a communication flow established between the two parties.
Okay. So how would you describe like what people would expect to achieve with like the right integration in place? Or let's call it, for example, a list of, integration acceptance criteria, let's say.
Ah, okay. That's a really broad one, right?
Yeah.
So if you as a user are using it, what do you need, right? So
Yeah.
the real-time sync is crucial. That's like a prerequisite for me. That seamless handoff where there's nobody involved and it's just happening in an automated sort of a way, that seamless handoff is what increases the efficiency in this entire flow, right?
So,
So that's a given. That's like a prerequisite which kills the ping pong, and everybody's good to go from there. Then some of the things that people ask for and they actually need, if you think about it, is
mhm,
extremely granular control, right? Everybody is very wary of the data that they're sharing with the other side. It might be within the same organization, it might be different, but it doesn't matter. Like I, as the end user, need to have 100% control over what data leaves my system and how I process any incoming data, right? Just to be on the safe side. So granular control is one of them. Flexibility needs to be there, right? You need to be able to implement your business logic, your business rules within the integration itself so that you can do it. And then like all the basic things should just be syncing. Like, for example, status should be syncing, impact, urgency, feels like that. So I had them as high over here, and
mhm.
these came over. So it's just stuff like that that it needs to be controllable.
I see. And let's maybe look at what it looks like, what you're describing here as well.
So let's work on the same ticket, right? So let's say now the developer kind of writes a comment. We are picking this one up now, and we send it across. So again, because the integration is placed, what should happen is that any updates that are made to either side should start syncing again pretty much in real time.
Mhm.
Uh, so whatever updates the developers are making, let's also change the status to in progress. Now, how I've done the status mapping, and again, it's very, very custom, but I just did it for this example, is that when the developers are working, our ticket on Freshservice would go into the pending status.
Mhm.
So you see that the comment came over, again, pretty much in real time, and simply the idea is the same. So this is the support agent replying to the end user, right? It's a public comment which is going to the end user. Now, again, it's in your control. If you want this to be visible for the developers as well, so that they see what's going on, you can sync it over, or it's your choice. You don't you choose not to sync it over. Similarly, if you change the priority now to high and maybe the urgency to medium, all these updates uh, should flow over to the Jira
Yeah.
side as well, right? So the comment that I've added, the changes I've made, all this should be transparent on the Jira side. And then in the course of the ticket, at some point, uh, the developers kind of work through it and then eventually close the ticket, let's say, right? So I've closed the ticket with a done status with uh, a resolution of done. Now, again, there's n number of ways how you can configure it, but again, how I've done this is that our ticket would go into the resolved status, and we would get a resolution note in the correct place, right? Some clients choose to mark the ticket as open at this stage so that it comes into the support agent's queue, and then they can then finally close the loop towards the end customer. But yeah, we got the resolution information over, the ticket got resolved, and that's how like the flow kind of completes. I hope that made sense.
Big time, yes. It's actually like interesting. And I think it takes away the pain of you working like in a new system all the time, getting up to speed with the other system. You just stay in your own system with the right mapping and everything else. You just like see it go back and forth between your system and the other team, right? So,
Yeah, there's so much to that actually, because like there's no learning curve, there's no training you require to get to the other system, and
yeah,
then there's the security aspects of it, right? Like if I'm poking around in my developer's Jira, he's not going to be happy, I'm telling you,
of course.
right? So yeah, so
That one's gonna be,
it's a good separation of roles as well.
of course. And yeah, I know that we have implemented a lot of exotic use cases, let's call it, for our customers, thanks to yeah our flexibility and our scripting engine. I think it's like a nice bridge to also like talk a little bit about maybe a couple of those use cases. Maybe it's interesting for the audience as well.
Yeah, so today we're focusing on the support development sort of a ping pong that is going on, and like how people solve it. So I'll tell you a couple that I've come across which are really interesting, right? So it's a many to one and a one to many sort of a scenario. So we had a client about a year ago who was running a service desk, a support desk, which was supporting 20 software products, right? And those 20 software products belong to 20 different vendors, obviously. Now, they were a full in-house support desk where they were doing the level one, level two supports, but they eventually did run into bugs and like issues that engineering needed to solve. So for that to happen, they had 20 vendors to talk to, right?
Oh, wow.
And how do you solve this, right? How do you solve this? It's obviously email chains, like different team leads going to different engineers, uh, having phone conversations. So how they solved it was they built a star network, right? So they became the hub, and then based on a field value. So they were using Zendesk as a support desk, right? So in Zendesk, they had a drop down field which marked which product it was. Now, Exalate was able to read that information and a couple of other criteria and then route it to the correct engineering team. And there were 20 out there, each with their own system, right? And the client's efficiency just grew manyfold. No telephone calls, no emails. A ticket gets escalated from the help desk itself, flies over to the correct development environment, and then the updates are kind of coming through as I showed you, like as internal notes into their own main parent ticket. So that one-to-many scenario is very interesting. And we also have reverse. We have a lot of reverses where multiple support desks are feeding into a single developer's environment, right? So you have a help desk on Zendesk, you have a help desk on Jira Service Management, and those are like kind of coming into a single uh, sort of a development desk.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah,
so
this.
Yeah, tell me.
I'm not going to stop here. There's so many, right?
Yeah,
So
whenever you talk about like these type of like use cases, especially for bigger companies, for enterprises that really, yeah, they are very strict about their like governance, and privacy and security and everything else, it makes me wonder about like the security aspects of integration in general and how they like handle that, especially you have like sensitive customer data, right? How do we
yeah.
protect that?
Yeah, but that's the granular control you need. Like when you build any sort of solution around integrating two systems, that has to be at the core of it. At least it is for us, right? Like you need that granular control, and you need it to be controllable by the end user in a like a flexible sort of a manner. So uh, okay, so just to give you a couple of small examples, right? So same tickets, let's use the same one. And let's say the developer has a lot of fields. He wants to add things to the sprint. He wants to mark the customer mood as very angry. And he has a lot of different fields where he's tracking time and all that. But obviously, we don't want to share all that information over to the Freshservice side, right? So I do have the control to filter out whatever I need out here. Another example is that in Jira software, you can like kind of restrict comments by roles and stuff, so that you might have a role for the internal team where just the internal team members are able to see that comment, and then the public role where everybody else is able to see. So let's say I make a role restricted comment. Obviously, developers never talk like that, but it's just an example. So again, this was meant for my team. This was role restricted, right? This shouldn't actually go anywhere, and this was the public comment. So let's say the ETA is 1 week, and this is not role restricted. This is a normal public comment, and this is all Jira stuff right now. There's no integration in this, right? Now, how I've configured the integration is that the role restricted comments I've kept to myself, and obviously I've sent over the public ones over to the other side. So on this side, I should only see the ETA comment arriving and not the first one, and vice versa as well. So the only the ETA comment arrived and the other one didn't, and this goes both ways, right? So if I add a private note within Freshservice, again, I would want to keep it private and not expose it to the integration. Again, this should not go anywhere. But if I add a public one, then that should fly over to Jira. So that the security aspect of it plays a role in these two levels, I think, right? So you want to expose the correct data set to the other side, and like within Exalate, you have a lot of granularity in order to be able to control it. So a field level granularity is simple. I don't want the field to go over. That is it. But then in comments and other stuff, you have so much customization available that your business logic essentially drives what is put in the integration. And because the scripting engine kind of allows you to to do that, it's fine. It should just work. So 1 week works is the only one that came over, and the one that was about dev team being lazy is, yeah, that got filtered out. So just very, very granular.
Awesome.
If you have a minute, I'm just going to very quickly show you something as well.
Of course.
So these exotic use cases, like, okay, so this one that I have ready is a ServiceNow help desk. And obviously, Freshservice, we've spoken about quite a bit today. So this ServiceNow instance is going to feed into the same Jira board, right? So the same Jira board
So
where
it's Jira, Freshservice, ServiceNow type of like integration, yeah?
indeed, like a many to one sort of a thing. So
Yeah.
the Jira, so there's n number of ways to set this up. You can set it up in a triangle, but this is set up in a many to one sort of a way. So
Mhm.
now let's see what we get, if I remember correctly. Let's create an incident on ServiceNow, again, mimicking the same sort of scenario, but the way I've configured this is slightly different. So let's say this is no incident with a dummy description. I believe how I configured the automation is based on the assignment group. So if a certain incident comes in which is assigned to a specific group, then that is enough of a trigger for Exalate to pick this up and go to the same board and create it. So now what I expect is this was my outage ticket, and now I expect the snow ticket to arrive pretty soon, actually. Yeah, so there we have our snow incident. So this is two. totally different systems, ServiceNow and Freshservice, feeding data into the same Jira board, and the security remains like it remains very intact. Let me explain. So if I update the snow incident, it's only connected to the ServiceNow instance. There's no chance in hell of this ever exposing data to Freshservice. It's two totally independent connections that are servicing it. Very configurable as well. And again, like the other example, you got all the metadata around the ticket already configured into the fields. So yeah, that many to one use case is something we come across quite often.
Okay, that's a pretty nice use case actually. But I also understand that like yeah, a good part of our customers, they also switch from an in-house solution that they have tried like building themselves, and then they switch to Exalate or to other integration solutions because yeah, this topic of build versus buy is always like a hot topic for especially for like head of engineering, head of support, IT admins, IT managers, people who are like actually able to build those integrations like in-house. But why do
Mhm.
they switch? Why do they switch from an in-house solution that is just like customized for your use case to an off-the-shelf type of like solution?
Yeah, I think the realization comes after the fact. So any good engineering team can very quickly probably build a solution, get it up and running, at least in a proof of concept sort of a way, and get the integration going. The real cost comes in the nuances when you get edge cases, when you meet situations where a full-fledged integration solution would just be dealing with it under the hood, right? For those you have to write code in order to do that. Now the initial cost, Manoj, is not that great for a development team, although it might become very great. So let's say you pick Exalate as an integration solution. You pick it off the shelf, you download it, you install it, takes less than 5 minutes probably. And then you go into the configuration phase, which could take a few hours, a couple of days maybe, but that should be it. We're talking a few hours of work here, and you have a working integration in place, right? So the time to value is really, really less. Now, you go into a DIY approach where you outline the requirements, build a team, start working on it, testing it, getting it from dev, test, prod, all those nice things. And it would probably take you 3, 4, 5 months to get a full-fledged proper solution in place, right? Now, the cost of the development time in those 4, 5 months is in no way comparable to like the license cost of a built product. And then think of all the advantages you get with a product, right? So you have an engineering function with us dedicated uh, to all the API updates that all these platforms are making. We get early access to all these platforms so that we can test our solutions against them. Now, this is as a marketplace partner, right? We get early access to all the releases, and we can immediately certify our solution with the latest version, right? So you don't need to worry about all that sort of stuff. And then there's a security aspect of it. So the security auditing kind of needs to be built into any integration. So integration is not just taking stuff from one side to the other and syncing it. There's a lot of security logging, auditing that needs to be built into it for reviews and everything. So yeah, these are like some of the advantages. I think what I've come across a lot is that people give it a try. They do get something working, but then they find that in order to enhance that or get it to a full-fledged solution, yeah, it's too much effort. It's too much time. Uh,
Okay.
one customer, I think, said it the right way, right? What they wanted to say was, listen, uh, we built this integration, but no, we can't do this, right? Because integration is not our business. Our business is something else. We do something else. We specialize in something else, and we should not be building integrations. We should be outsourcing it to somebody who's a specialist. So I think that's at the heart of it, really.
Of course, of course. Okay, I think that we are coming to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Majid, is there any final word? Anything else from your side?
No, I would like to see you in episode 2.
Yes, that's good. So, guys, the next episode is coming up on the 4th of December. It's all about ITSM strategy. And yeah, stop pretending that email is an ITSM strategy. So, we'll cover like more topics there with Majid, and we will hope to see you there. In case you have exotic use cases that you would like to discuss with Majid, reach out to him. I'm putting our emails there in the chat. For signing up for the next webinar, you can go to the website, to the Exalate website, exalate.com/webinars. And if you would like us to cover any specific topic in the future episodes, just drop me a message and we'll make sure to cover them in the next episodes. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you in the next episode.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, guys.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.